I had to have my junior team hat on because I got to stay neutral on this one, man.
Yeah, Brad, listen, I was going to ask you, by the way, I am joined by Brad Lukowich. Thank you so much for joining me. I think you're the hottest commodity right now. Well, when did you?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well, I just made that up. Yeah, making you sound like a big deal here. When did you realize, during the playoffs that if the Stars and the Lightning meet, that you were on the last teams that won a cup for each of those organizations?
Well, before the game was even won, because everybody that knows about that, about me and Sid, basically were throwing all the texts and emails out. So I was foreshadowed. I had an old teammate from Kamloops, AJ Bain, sent me a text as soon as Dallas got in. He says, I can tell you right now, like I told you when you were up in Kamloops in March, that it's going to be a Dallas-Tampa final. And AJ was right, like he always is.
So are you really remaining neutral? Because I feel like you're in Dallas, aren't you?
Yeah. I live in Dallas. I work for the team with their minor hockey, and I watched the game on Friday night in the alumni room, and it was a really exciting game.
Okay. I see. I know I read back in the day, and this was an interview, I think, from like 2005. You said that the Lightning Cup meant more to you because you were there for the whole season. You said you weren't there for the whole 82-game grind for the Dallas Cup. Does that feel differently now since you're all part of the organization?
No, it's the same. It's the story stays the same. I got an opportunity to come up due to a trade. It was Sergei Gusev got traded actually to I think it was the Tampa Bay Lightning for Benoit Hogue. So there's the Tampa Dallas connection right there, and they needed another defenseman. I got called up, played a couple of games. Darian Hatcher had the big hit on Jeremy Roenick, so I got an opportunity to play a couple more games into the playoffs. And just had an opportunity to be around it. So I was kind of that outside guy getting a chance to come in and get a front seat to it. Got a couple of little toe touches here and there. But I was still on the outside looking in. I wouldn't even consider myself like a full-fledged rookie at the time. It was a great opportunity to be a part of it. And was fortunate enough to win. But where Tampa is a completely different story, where you're brought in because of that leadership and because you were a part of that team and had to, had more of a vocal and played all the games. So that was a way bigger part. And but both are completely different, but just as special.
Tell me, who was your favorite teammate on the 04 team?
The 04 team?
Because I've interviewed a bunch of guys like Dinger and Wah, and there were just some characters on that team.
Well, there's two right there. So I mean, like, to say a favorite, I'd say Andre was. He's a personality. He's like one of my favorite players I ever played with ever. So I'd have to say Andre is pretty. He had a bigger role than even people know. I think it's kind of come out now how incredible room guy he was and what he did to keep us all in high spirits when the times were tough. And he's the guy that would run through a wall for you, and did many a time. So I'd say Wazzy to this day is still one of my favorites.
Man, now who was in control of the music back? Because I know that you're a big rock guy, and I know Andre Wah. But what did he? Didn't he used to? You did? Now I heard a story about Wah put the Russian national anthem on one day or something.
So he used to have the whole. He would come in and do the starting lineup stuff. You've seen the Vegas guys do it recently, and some other guys are doing it now. It's become quite the gig. Well, Andre took it to a whole other level. He was, I mean, I know you talked to him. I watched your guys' video before, so he did kind of admit to some of the stuff. But yeah. He would put on the Russian national anthem. He'd come in other people's suits, and he'd do the Tommy Boy. He was just that guy. But yeah, the music stuff was cool. I did the same thing in Dallas. I played the music there. We had the big Pantera song. Back when Dallas won, we had the Big Four, which was a bunch of Metallica songs and some Kid Rock. And a Queen song, actually, the Big Four. Nothing Else Matters was our song that year, and it played out pretty nice for us. And then in Tampa, it was different. We had different guys. Like, our room was so loud, but there was like me, John Graham, I think it was Dan Boyle, maybe Andre, like four of us in the actual dressing room, and everybody would sit outside and wait till the songs were over because they were pretty metal. It was like Stone Sour, Slipknot. It was a little bit more intense in Tampa. I don't think the Dallas guys would have let me play stuff like that.
Dude, tell me just, I know, obviously, you know, your Brock history is rich. I think I talked to you on my morning show back in the day when you played for the Lightning because they're like, hey, this guy, he loves rock and roll. You know, tell me some of the cooler bands that you've hung out with, you know, throughout your day.
Well, you can kind of take a look behind me and see some of the guys right here. So, you know, like guys that came down to Tampa were phenomenal guys. The guy, this is Disturbed right here, you know, and that's in the Tampa dressing room right there, actually, with David and Mike. We got the guys from Fuel, Brett Scallions from Fuel, real dear friend of mine. Theory of a Dead Man, that's that guitar right there. So, you know, and the Pantera guys. So a lot of guys went golfing, and I went to recording studios and hung out with guys and tried to play guitar and that stuff. But Andre's a way better guitar player. Dinger was a heck of a drummer.
Oh, yeah.
I could dabble in the bass a little bit, but I like to sing and kind of touch all of that stuff. So it's just one of those things where you, like, hockey players, they love music, and the musicians all love hockey players. So it was a great mix for both.
Yeah. What is it about rock music and hockey that goes so well together? I'm learning so much doing this podcast. I mean, it seems like everybody in hockey has hung out with Eddie Vedder at least at one point in their career. Have you?
It's because of Brett. But it's more the reason that you meet one guy. Well, actually, everybody I met, I can honestly say, is all because of Vinnie Paul. I met Vinnie when I was just a 19-year-old kid, came up here for training camp. He was the nicest person I've ever met, him and his brother. And I would sit at the games, and I was such in awe of these guys. And I started meeting the guys from Seven Dust and this and that. But yeah, it's just that we have that relationship. We kind of live very similar lives. You know, we're on the road quite a bit, you know, and you're stuck in buildings. You see the back of the building, you see airports. But yeah, and then you get summers to go and hang out with these guys finally. So it's a good relationship with all these guys. Always has been.
I was going through your Instagram. Was there a picture of 3 Days Grace partying with the Cup back in the day? Were you hanging out with those guys?
Yeah, way back there too. That one's over there too. That's that guitar.
Oh, I see it. There you go.
Yeah, there you go. No, they're just the 3 Days Grace guys. Same thing. I had an old buddy, Jay, that was working for them. Like, I know a lot of the crew guys as well, and they kind of switch around. Like, I got my buddy Hoogie that works for Shinedown. I met him with Theory of a Dead Man, and then he went out with this band, Default, and then these guys. So Those guys you really get in really good touch with is the crew members. And I was just fortunate to go downtown and meet the guys from 3 Days Grace just once. And I was just like, these guys are incredible. I saw them live in a tiny little place down here. I think it was the Gypsy Ballroom at the time, is maybe 250, 500 people at the show. They were opening for someone at the time. And it wound up just being an incredible show and a great relationship. I've been to their place out in Ontario, and they came out to my place, obviously, for the Cup, but they also came out in the summer, and we do stuff together all the time. So Adam's moved on now to a new band, Saint Asonia, with the members of Stained, and there's some Finger 11 guys. He's some guys from other band, Art of Dying, his cousin Kale. It's like you just have those relationships with those guys, and now they're all like just fired up. We wish we had an open border and an opportunity, because I think all these guys would be involved probably in Tampa and in Dallas, just getting involved with the game and getting involved with the production.
How much are you craving going to a concert right now? Because that's the one thing that I miss during all of this. Is I'm a big concert guy.
That's probably the biggest thing right now. Missing out in the world. I think everybody needs a big dose of entertainment right now, and get out and be with each other and have positive, good energy around them. I mean, you asked why do we love rock music? It's the message in the music. Really, it comes out. It's just, you know, live life to the fullest and kick some, we'll say, butt.
Yeah, you know, hey, whatever. You know, we've had Esposito on the podcast. He likes to cuss.
Oh, okay.
So I know that you have kids now and daughters. Like, what kind of music are they into? Are you monitoring it? Do you want to make sure that they're as cool as you? Are they into like Bruno Mars, 21 Pilots? I mean, are you just forcing, you know, dad stuff on them?
No, they force Billie Eilish.
Oh,
who else is there? It's Melanie something Martinez, I think her name is. So there's two. That's about all I got.
Okay.
It's. I can tell you that the drive is like, she'll put on, it starts off. My younger daughter Marley, she actually likes like Alice in Chains. She likes the older rock and roll. She's not too big into the newer stuff. She loves Nickelback and stuff like that. Still, like, that's probably more that genre. Same thing with you. My older one, she's into country, which is huge because we're friends with a buddy up in Canada, Dallas Smith, and she's just a huge Dallas Smith fan. So she got me into country recently, actually, through Dallas Smith.
Hey, why do you think Nickelback's got such a bad rap all these years? It's because they were just so popular or what? Because they always it seemed to be like Creed was the band everybody hated, then Nickelback. Now it seems like Imagine Dragons. It just, why was it Nickelback?
Because they're successful. People like to see, I don't know. I think it's just one of those things where people just like to see, to bag on success, find a flaw in anything. When you get to, if my thing to people that don't like Nickelback, I dare you to go to a show. I dare you. It's nothing like you're ever going to think it would be going in. They blow, my favorite conversation back in the day with Chad, I was after a show once and he was just sitting there, he had a towel around his neck and he's just sitting there playing his acoustic, and he goes, I just want to play songs that everybody can sing. I want to look out and see everybody singing the words. And then I want to blow the roof off of it. And he does. They blow the pyro at those shows is absolutely insane. The guitar playing, they play Metallica, Pantera. Like if you go ahead and find a song, Chad doesn't even have to look it up. He can just ear and play that song to a T. That is one incredibly talented band that, honestly, as much as the haters it is, it should be the opposite. They should have way more respect.
Man, we could talk music all day. Let me talk a little hockey real quick. Yeah, go ahead. Tell me, who is the best player you played against?
Against Mario Lemieux.
Okay.
He was so big. He was so strong and fast, and man, he's. I remember one time he was standing in front of the net, and I was going to try and get under his skin a little bit, and he had his back to me, and I went in to kind of give him a bump, and he just floored me, and he didn't even see me coming. He was just so solid. I was like, okay, that's why he is who he is, and you see all and that reach and everything that he had. He'd make you look like a fool. So he was a pretty impressive player.
Now, who's the best player you played with?
I would probably say Madano and maybe Jeremy Roenick. Those two players are pretty close to one another. They're just incredibly amazing guys. Mike is obviously a lot quieter than Jeremy, and so the personalities are different. I love both their personalities, but Mike was just that business-like guy who would come to the rink, put his gear on 5 minutes before, go out, be the best player on the ice, and be the first guy to take you out and pay the bill at the end of the day. He was just such a super nice guy. And not only to me, but all the guys in the team and to the guys, like any rookie that came in, Mike made it a mission just to make that guy feel welcome. So, I mean, the guy really deserves a lot of credit. I love the guy. Not only what he did on the ice, but off the ice, he's just a super guy.
That's very cool. Tell me, do you have a Tortorella story? And I feel like everybody I've talked to this year has some sort of Tortorella run, a classic Tortorella moment. Do you have that story?
Yeah, that's like The Price is Right. You go in to spin the wheel, like, which one should I tell? There's so many Tort stories. I know Marty and Richie get a kick out of the one time. We were doing a video, and man, I was the star of the video that day. I had just had a terrible game, and I think I was still like in mental shock about how many times I was on the video. And he asked me a question, and I obviously gave him the wrong answer. He got about like an inch from my nose. And he's like, "What did you say?" Like so loud. He's like, "Oh, I read an article that said you'd play in Alaska." "Well, I know people in Alaska." I was like, "Oh boy." So he did not pull punches on people. It was, but you know what? And then you'd follow him out to the room, and you go have a one-on-one with them, and he just, "Hey man, I'm just trying to get my point across. Hey, we're good. You can have a great game." "Yep, awesome." So he's just that guy. I love Torts. It was a lot of butting heads all the time, but I think those things made him a better coach, made us better players. I think he pushes players in buttons in a way that no one else does, especially in these days. And I mean, I have nothing but respect for the guy. I love him.
So this podcast will come out the day of Game 3. So we saw what happened the other night, Game 1. The Stars, played very, very well the first couple of periods. Who knows what's going to happen tonight? But tell me, as somebody that I think is secretly rooting for the Stars, what worries you, about what worries you about facing the Lightning? Like, what scares you? And does the potential or the possibility of Stamkos returning, how does that make you feel? Are you scared?
I don't know if necessarily fear is one of the words that you would use, or scared. I think it is something that's definitely on the minds of a lot of players. I mean, obviously Tampa wants him back. I'd like to see him too. Actually, a great quote. I just watched the Cobra Kai series the other day, and I saw something that said, it was Daniel LaRusso was talking to Johnny, and they talked about how Johnny's guys beat up on the Miyagi-Do guy. And he said, you know what? He goes, you guys beat a wounded soldier. Like, you got a beat up team. Well, Tampa's, played a game 7 the other night in my eyes. It was a Saturday night. It was scheduled to be Saturday night. That's who they would have played, the Islanders, if they would have lost. Then they had to continue and do that. In the past, you've had a couple of days. You have an opportunity to look who your opponent is. You get to go over their personnel. You're going to put matchups up. It becomes more of a familiar. I think Tampa went in a little bit blind to that game in my eyes, where Dallas had an opportunity to sit up. They were at the game. They got to sit up up top, watch it, take notes. And I think you're going to see a different chess game. Rick Bowness has been such an incredible coach for this team this year. He did an amazing job preparing Dallas for this game. Now that you've given Coop an opportunity to go over some tape, and the rest of the players maybe have a chance to put their feet up and actually prepare for this game tonight, for the game, I think you're going to see a much better performance. Actually, maybe even by both sides. It's going to be a great series.
I agree. I definitely agree. Okay. Even though we know it's okay who we know who you're going for. It's totally okay. We know who I'm rooting for right here. Hey, hey, I saw, one of your daughters, is she a wrestler?
She was.
She was.
We moved down here. Yeah, she was. She did wrestle. She's been doing MMA stuff since she was, I think she started in San Jose. So she's probably about 6 or 7 years old, maybe. She's done it all. She did karate. She's done MMA fights. She did kickboxing, jiu-jitsu. We came down here. She did wrestling. But moving to the South, there's always that opportunity that you may be getting into the cattle world. So she's now into the FFA world. I think she's getting a pig now. She's getting cows. She's into chickens and horses. And oh yeah, complete 180.
You got to take care of all these animals or what?
Oh, no. That's a good thing about living in Texas, is that they have, like, the school here actually has an agricultural component to it, where they actually have a barn right beside the school. The school here in Prosper, I'm telling you, this thing is huge. Like, the stadium holds like 20,000 people. It's incredible. It looks like a university, probably like bigger than a community college. This campus is massive. There's 5,000 students at it.
That is absolutely incredible. I think I forgot to ask you when we were talking about all the band stuff. What band have you seen the most so far?
Nickelback for sure.
Okay.
I mean, I would fly around the world to see those guys. Just every time they have put on a show, it's the best show. I'd say them. 3 Days Grace, probably be right up there with them. Seven Dust, I bet you I've seen 30, 40 times. Those guys. Wow. If there isn't a better live band in the world, I mean, right now, maybe Tool would be probably the close second to Seven Dust, but to live performance wise. But yeah, a lot of bands. I mean, like you said, I can't wait for this thing to pass by so we can get back out there.
Are you a Limp Bizkit guy, or is that off limits?
Yeah.
Okay.
Heck yeah, I like Limp Bizkit.
Okay.
He's great. I saw Fred Durst in Detroit. He was up on the top of the building, like shooting this big fire cannon. Man, it was awesome. And he can go. He goes off.
That is one band that I never got to see, and I see it, like, still I'm hanging on. Like, I want to see Limp Bizkit live. I feel like they'd be very good still.
Insane. It is just, and again, the whole place is jumping. Great show. It's phenomenal. They'll be back. Come on.
What's the last concert you saw outside of, like, your genre? Did you go see anything with your wife or with your kids where you're like, oh man, this is not really for me, but what was it?
Billie Eilish.
Oh, really?
I went, and I tell you what, she's awesome. She can sing. You can't take away someone's talent. I mean, whether you like him or not, that girl can sing. I think the brother, I forget his name, but starts with an F. Anyways, he's like the bass player, the keyboard guy. It's just the three of them. It's her. He does all this, and then they got a drummer. And I can tell you what, that Finnegan or Phineas or something like that. That guy is incredible. The writer, like, he is just. The two of them are amazing, and then the production too. Like, she's up on this bed thing, and it falls over, and she's like doing back bend. It was amazing. It was actually a really good show. I never would have thought that's what the kind of show I was going to. I thought I was just going to see a girl go up there and sing, but it was insane. And every single person in that building knew every word.
It's crazy because you think like these people, they're so big and you go, how do they get to be so big and so popular? And what she's, 16, 17 years old. And then you go, well, she's got to probably be incredibly talented. And of course she would put on a great show. Like I'm the same way. I'm going, I'm like, oh, she's going to sit at her piano. This is going to be terrible. But there's so much more to it.
Yeah, and I didn't really know I'd heard a couple of songs going into it, but then when we got home, they're like, I'm like, same question. How did she get so famous? Like, check out these videos. Well, she does all these artsy videos where she's got like tarantulas in her mouth and there's like stuff coming out of her eyes. I was like, man, she'd be a pretty cool metal singer.
Were you ever in a band? Did you ever start a band?
Never started one. I've been on stage with a couple of guys. Nickelback got me real good about 3 years ago. They got me up on stage and made me sing Rockstar with them. And I have no idea that was happening. So I look like Clark Griswold. I got like golf shorts on. Like if I would have, so they totally got me so good.
What are you like on the side? And
then I'm kind of going like, oh, it was brutal.
Are you like on the side of the stage and then they're like, yeah, get out here, or is that how it all goes down?
Yeah, they're sitting there, and then all of a sudden they see kind of some commotion going on. They're like, oh, yeah, I can see some people talking. And they were bringing out these monitors. And then they're like, all right. And then all of a sudden all these other people came up, and they were award winners. And they're like, oh, yeah, just you need to go stand with those guys. I'm like, why? They're like, oh, they're going to go and introduce these guys for the karaoke. I'm like, karaoke? Well, I love karaoke. Who's singing? Oh, no, my daughters are really good singers. We should probably bring them out there. It'd be a lot more fun. Now you're getting out there. And then they put me right on Mike, the bass player's microphone, and I hope they didn't turn it up too loud. I heard it was okay through the monitors, but
what's that rush? What's that
song I'm terrible at?
What's that rush like compared to like, I don't know, winning a championship or scoring a goal or, hitting somebody? What's that rush like to get up there and to sing?
It's nervous. I was nervous. I way worse. I mean, when you're playing hockey and you're like in front of people, you're excited and you don't have time to get nervous. So it's just you're on. But like when all of a sudden, like I need to go up there and sing in front of 22,000 people, a song that you really don't know all the words to. Have fun.
Do your kids think that you're cool?
I think they used to. I think they all think I'm kind of holding on to the glory years a little bit, but they were glorious years, so why wouldn't I? But things are good now. Things are cool. They like the chance. I do a lot of stuff with the alumni, so I mean, they still think I'm kind of cool when we go to games. I get a little bit of radio here. I got been on the TV a little bit here in town, so every now and then they'll think I'm cool, and then I tell them to do the dishes, and then I'm right back into it.
Well, listen, I think that you're a cool guy, even though that you're rooting for the Stars. Have fun watching the game tonight. I'll be at Amalie. I know that you'll be at the arena watching the game. Brad, I enjoyed the conversation. Thanks so much. Love talking music. Love talking hockey. Hopefully we can do it again soon. Thank you so much.
You got it, my man. Thanks for having me.
Take it easy.
Go Stars. Go Lightning.